If there is one contribution that the South has made to American culture, it's expressive statements or sayings like, I know you're sorry, now apologize. Or, well, butter my backside and call me a biscuit. Or its close relative, well, spank my butt and call me Sally. But my all-time favorite is of particular relevance today. The one that says, you can't fix stupid. And then my friend from South Carolina always chimes in, no, but you can pass it on. And you can't find a more insightful summary of Trump and his family than that. Add to that list tone deaf, self-absorbed, narcissistic. We don't have enough time to go through that list. But Donald Trump II, or as he's known in Italy, Donna Fugata Idiotto Secundo, just posted a couple of TikToks that prove this family is not only corrupt through and through, but that they need to be corrupt. Because if they had to survive on brains, they'd be as broke as the Ten Commandments. Let's start out with the Clown Prince from Queens surveying his future empire. Take a look.
Oman, guys. In the Middle East, this is the future site of Trump Oman.
Oman? Oman? He's acting like some 70s hippie saying Marrakesh. Sorry, Junior, but Oman is hardly all that, and most Americans can't even find it on a map. But Oman is famous for one thing: slavery. Yes, slavery used to be a cornerstone of the country's trade and development, and it wasn't outlawed until 1970. Not that Trump Jr. or any of the Trumps would have had a problem with that. The lineage of this family is nothing but a story of exploitation, corruption, and ignorance. Starting with great-grandpappy Friedrich, who made a fortune running restaurants and brothels in the Yukon during the Klondike Gold Rush. So, yeah, the patriarch, Friedrich, was basically a pimp. But the story doesn't end there. Friedrich returned to Germany, but was kicked out for, wait for it, being a draft dodger. So off to America with Friedrich and family. Now, Friedrich owned a small real estate business, but died in the Spanish flu epidemic of 1918. I guess he should have used bleach. His wife held the business together until Fred Trump could take it over. And take it over he did. Fred Trump took advantage of World War II to get government loans to build housing for defense workers. But in 1954, Trump was investigated by the Senate Banking Committee for profiteering. Fred Trump and his partner obtained loans for $3.5 million more than the cost of building. But Trump argued that because he had not withdrawn the money, he had not literally pocketed the profits. Is any of this sounding familiar? Fred Trump was then investigated again in 1966 for the same thing, this time by the state of New York. But that's not the most famous investigation. No, Donald Trump joined the family business in 1968, and by 1972, the Trump Organization was investigated for housing discrimination. Both the Urban League and New York City's Commission on Human Rights sent in teams of white people and black people to rent apartments from the Trump Organization. And while the white people were shown apartments, the black people were told, no vacancy. So yes, Trump learned, sitting on his pappy's knee, that it's profitable to be a racist. It's also profitable to screw your subcontractors and to lie to the government. In the end, Fred Trump gave Donald somewhere around $500 million to build his empire. And build it Donald did, going bankrupt on airlines, hotels and casinos, and most famously, single-handedly bankrupting the USFL by convincing the other owners to directly compete with the NFL. So he passed that business savvy down to Donnie Secundo, who's doing a big deal in Oman. Let's watch more.
Pretty spectacular views, private beach, Ignore the concrete batch plant, that's going away soon enough, but it doesn't get much nicer than this. Golf course underway up there. This is pretty cool. It's going to be really spectacular, though not maybe in the middle of June when it's about 400 degrees out. So,
ignoring for the moment that he's in the middle of nowhere, it's hard to decide what is more humorous, pointing out where the golf course in the desert is going to be located or surveying the private beach because it's in the middle of nowhere. And how do you know it's in the middle of nowhere? Because that's exactly where you put cement factories. You have to physically struggle to prevent yourself from wetting yourself when our visionary real estate mogul tells us to ignore the cement factory. And here is where the real genius and salesmanship kicks in big time. Not only do we ignore the fact that the property is out of the way, that they put a cement factory in it, but Trump tells us that it's going to be pretty cool, but not maybe in the middle of June when it's going to be 400 degrees out. I almost expect him to say, "You see what I did there?" But the sheer and utter ignorance of not recognizing how obtuse he is stunning. He's basically telling his potential customers that this really cool place is only good at certain times of the year. And that's just a basic flaw in the business model. Sure, ski resorts are only good 3 to 4 months out of the year, and they cost millions, but most ski resorts actually try and develop some kind of summer business. Trump is investing millions developing a resort that will admittedly be limited in its use. Who wants to golf when the temperature is over 100 degrees? And how are you going to make a golf course in the desert? Did you notice the lack of vegetation? Making a golf course in the desert hones in precisely on the point. Where are these millions coming from? Who are the investors? Because nobody is investing on this scale because they believe in Junior, his vision, or his business acumen. Junior is just as dumb as his father, and this video demonstrates it. It's pretty clear that investors in this deal want access and influence with Trump, with Donatello I, the orange Adonis of comb-overs. Nepo Donald doesn't even remotely get that because he's too dim-witted and too out of touch. The degree to which he is completely out of touch is demonstrated in this next video, his flight home from his development trip. Take a look.
guys, I just did a day trip to Dubai and Oman. We have a project in Oman, projects in Dubai, just checking in on them, the day job. Literally, I'm on the ground for 18 hours, and I think I did 30-something hours of flying. But if you're going to fly that much, this is a great way to do it. I'm in first class on Emirates, and this is sick. These beds lie down, go fully flat, the doors closed. You're in your entire enclosed cubbies. Pretty spectacular, great food, more legroom than I can know what to do with. And like I said, the beds fly out flat, and they even have mattresses to go on top of them. So if you're gonna do 18 hours on the ground, a day trip to the Middle East, this is the way to do it. Figured I had to share that one with you guys because I'm a reasonably spoiled individual, and this is still pretty spectacular. Have a good one, guys.
Pretty special, huh? Don't you just feel privileged that Junior felt he has to share how spectacular flying first class is? He starts by talking about how awesome his life is. Day job, checking out our projects in Oman and Dubai, and how it compels him to fly first class on one of the more luxurious airlines. How tone deaf can you be? Since most of his audience is not his economic peer, the video is really more about, look what daddy's wealth buys me, more than it is anything else. Yeah, it's fabulous. Yes, Emirates knows how to build first-class long-trip seating, but you're only there because you're a Nepo baby, and you're clueless and tone-deaf as to how that lands. But here's the really scary thing. Trump Sr., the walking heart attack waiting to happen, is running for president with the hope of winning and then implementing Project 2025. And yes, he'll have a vice president. But when coronary science finally catches up to the orange blob, how long do you think it's going to be before Junior here thinks it's his right and privilege to lead? I thought my worst nightmare was Trump as president. That is nothing compared to the idea of Junior running the country. Yeah, I probably should have saved that thought for Halloween. But yeah, that thought should motivate all of us to go out there and work for a blue tsunami in Rovember. We have a democracy to save. Because the consequences, yeah, they're pretty frightening. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.